Okay. So my screen visible to all of you? So come on, Zoom, work. Cool. Okay. So today we're done with all the Python part. Now you're officially starting the machine learning. Now, today we're only going to talk about what exactly is machine learning, what all things that you will find out in machine learning. We're not going to learn about any code and all, what all algorithms are there. The algorithms we'll see on Monday. So from Monday, every day we'll just learn one or two one algorithm and how to write the code for that. So currently, now what is a machine learning? Now till now you have learned about traditional programming that you do. That you get your input, you write the program, and depending upon the program and the input that you give to the program, the computation happens and you get the results. What happens in machine learning? You give the input and you give the desired result that okay, this is my input, this is my result that I want, and compute that result and the input to give me a program that will give me the desired result. So that's what a difference between a traditional programming and a machine learning. That machine learning gives you the algorithm, or machine learning gives you the program which can give you the result. In traditional programming, you basically write that program to get the result. So let's see, you went to a so imagine you went to a fruit shop to buy the fruits. Just take it as mangoes. Now, what can happen is, how will you choose that which one is the best mango? Now, you were informed that bright yellow mangoes are sweeter, and if the mangoes are pale yellow, then it's not that much sweet. So you'll only pick the bright yellow mangoes. Okay, but then after coming back, you found out even after all the mangoes that you had, everyone was bright yellow. Still, 50% of them are sweet and 50% of them are not sweet. Now, you made one more assumption that bigger and brighter yellow mangoes are guaranteed to be sweet. It means if the mangoes are brighter yellow, which was our previous prediction, like previous assumption, and now we are adding one more assumption that if they're big, the size is big as compared to the other mangoes, then they are 100% to be sweet. And while if they're smaller and bright yellow, they are sweet half of the time. So next time when you'll go, you'll try to pick up only the mangoes which are big and are bright yellow. So that's completely fine. Now what happens is the vendor with which is, from which you take the food or to take the fruits is out of the town. Now you have to go to a different shop, a whole different vendor. Now all the assumptions that you made about the mangoes are false now because this guy or this vendor is getting fruits from somewhere else. So the traits that you're trying to find, like the big size and bright yellow, are not found in his mangoes. So you have to find another assumption. Okay, Tanisha, what happened? Was it an accident or you want to say something? Oh, my voice is not audible. Now is it fine? Cool. Okay. This is, that position is gonna be there. I don't know what happened to it. I'll change the earphone only, but I need some time because at my place, neither Flipkart nor Amazon, nothing is delivering. Okay. So the new people or the new person, the new vendor is there. Now you made a new assumption that if the mangoes are soft, they are juiciest. So for the different vendor, you made a different assumption. Okay. Now you're completely fine with getting the mangoes. Now what if you want to buy oranges? Now all the knowledge that you had about the mangoes, you cannot use anything on oranges because they're completely different fruits. So you have to learn again from the scratch about oranges. Now all the things that we have learned, if you want to write it in the code, we can just write like a simple Python code, like color is bright and yellow, and if the size is big, the mango is sweet, or if the texture is soft, the mango is juicy. So it's a like comparatively small code because there are not so many rules. But the only problem happen, the only problem that will happen is slowly when you'll have more information, you'll have more information, more number of codes, and then trying to write explicitly by hand all the records or all the knowledge that you have, it's not possible. So for that, we use something called machine learning. So what happened in machine learning is machine learning learns from the example and the experiences that you provided to them. And after learning, with like seeing all the inputs and all the results, they make a generalized model or a generalized predictive model which can guess the answer that you want it to be. Now it's not always completely correct. They have their errors, but they try to guess as good as they can. So this is what exactly machine learning is. Now there are some features about machine learning, like what exactly you do with machine learning. First of all is the direct patterns. The thing that you try to find out in machine learning is the direct patterns. What is direct patterns are? Just the example that I've given you previously, that if the age is increasing, the height is also increasing. So this is a direct pattern. So you want to find out the direct pattern so that the model can learn and grow and change its uh, structure. These are the direct patterns. Now there are some hidden insights. Hidden insights are those patterns which are not usually known. Like you may find out that most of the people who are who are taller are more prone to some specific disease. So these are some hidden insights that you will find out only after getting a huge amount of data. These are some hidden insights. So you have to find out direct patterns and the hidden insights in order to train your machine learning model. Now, what are the application of ML? So I guess this is not a thing to be explained of. Like everywhere you will go, you'll find any application of ML. Google Maps even use ML to give you the personal voice assistance and all the mapping that it provides. It's completely upon the ML programming. Now, product recommendation system. There's a whole model only for recommendation system on how exactly you get the product as a recommended product. Now, the self-driving car. Everyone know about Elon Musk and Tesla and what they're trying to, and they're from how long they're trying to build a self-driving car. So, these are the small projects of or the application of ML. Now we'll come to the steps of machine learning. This is one of the most important things that you should understand. Now, the first step of machine learning is collecting the data. Like if you're working, you will get data from all the sources, like reviews from people, the company data, so many places you'll get your data. Now, after getting that data from so many sources, it's not necessary that it's organized. Organized is like they are in tabular columns with rows and uh, they're in like table form, like rows and columns. It's not possible. It's not always true. So in some of the time you'll have just random data placed there, and some you'll have some tabular columns. Some will have uneven tabular columns. Some missing values are there. So first step is collecting the data. Second step is for data wrangling. Data wrangling stands for get that data, get that all like clustered data, discover what all you want from that data, make it a structured data, make it clean, and try to enrich it. Now, what exactly the things mean is, after getting all those messy data, you try to make a structure out of the data so that it's like you have random data placed here and there, and you try to make a table out of it. Like this day, this thing happened, this day, this thing happened, this day, this thing happened, and you got the data from random places. Like someone came and tell you, okay, 5 days, this thing happened. Someone mailed you, like this day, this thing happened. Someone just gave a note on a paper that this thing happened on this day. You have data from so many sources. A mail, someone just told you verbally that this thing happened. Someone just wrote a letter and told you, wrote a letter and wrote you. So you have data from so many sources. So collect all the data and make it a structured data on a single place, which have all the informations that you need. That is known as data wrangling. Now, after data wrangling, after data wrangling, your data is completely enriched and organized. Now comes the third step, which is analyze the data. Now, analyze stands for, after you get all the data, it's not necessary that all the data that you have is useful for training a model. There can be a chance that the data that you have, it's not going to help you in training your model, or which all features are more important in training a model. Just example, you just have to decide if the person is sick or not, and you have so much amount of information about the data, about the person, like you have the address, his eating habits, height, weight, his medical history, like was he sick uh, a week before or something. So you can see all the features which is present for you, and you have to make a model which can predict if the person is sick or not. Now you can just imagine you have the address of the person. Now this thing doesn't have any connection on if the person is sick or not. They can live anywhere and they can be sick. There's no relation in the place of living and the sickness. So this is a useless data. And at least in this case, this is a useless data. Now, out of all the attributes that you have, weight, height, medical history, and was the person sick a week before? You can see, was the person sick a week before? It's a really important column. It means that the weightage of this particular column is very high as compared to the person's height, person's weight, and person's medical history. As if the person was sick a week before, it is more likely that he's sick still. He's still sick. That can happen. It's more likely to happen. So this particular feature has more weightage as compared to all the other features. So these are the analyzations that you have to find out and come across, so that when you will start training a model, you can tell that this is the main feature, this is the useless feature, so do not even train on that. So if you found the useless features, like the address for in this condition, you just drop the whole information or drop the whole column on it, so that you will not train your model on any useless feature. Because if you try to train your model on a useless feature which is not necessary, the model will just take more time to train and will get really bad results, because it'll try to find a relationship between the sickness and the what and the address, which is not possible, but still he'll try to find out something which can be relatable. Now, after all your analysis has been done, now all your data is completely fine. This is the data that you want your model to be trained on. What you had to do? Train the model. Now you have to find out which algorithm will be good for training the model. It depends on what kind of output do you want. You want regression output, like your output can be from minus infinity to infinity, any particular number, like guessing the person's height. So it can be from 0 centimeter to 180 centimeter, anything happen, or 200 centimeter, anything can be there. So this is a regression one. Or your output is gonna be yes or no, or true or false, or your output is gonna be one of the six seasons. So these are the classification problems. So for all the different types of problems, you have different algorithms. Like for regression, you have linear regression, ridge regression, lasso regression. For classification, you have random forest, support vector machines. They have different algorithms for different conditions. We'll go through each of them in the next week. Now, after training a model, the only thing that you have to do now is test it. Now the model has been trained. Now the model can predict what will happen. Now you have to test your model, like how well it can predict. Now you'll have your test data. Means you have the data which you have to give to the machine to make a guess, and you have the exact answer. Like what was the right answer? And the model will take the data, will take the only the predictive data, and try to guess the answer. You'll take the answer which is provided by the model, and then you will take the take the answer which was there with you. Now then you'll compare which and compare and check how much percentage, like how accurate your model is. Is it 90% accurate? Is 95% accurate? Is 99% accurate? Or what? So it depends on what accuracy you are satisfied with. If you're satisfied with 95% accuracy, fine enough. If you're not satisfied with that, you want your model to be more accurate, then try to tune the parameter more, like tune the so you'll try to train your model more or change some hyperparameters. We'll talk about so change hyperparameters to make your model more accurate. So after the testing has been done, the last deployment is the model has been done, everything is completed, your model is completely running. Now you have to make it useful for the users. It's like the WhatsApp is built. They have they coded the whole thing. They tried, they tested. Like okay, this is not a exact example of machine learning, but just a deployment that they have tested and they have tried and tested. They wrote the code, they tested and tested everything. Now it's working. Now they have to deploy. Deployments now even the users which have no idea what is going on in the background can use it for the users. So that's what you mean by deployment. That now you have a UI in front of the whole machine learning code, and the user will only give the predictions like what they think, and the model will give you the output. So last step is the deployment. So these are the machine learning steps that you come across. Now there are three types of machine learning: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement. We'll go across one of them, each of them. Now supervised learning. In supervised learning, the data that we have is labeled. It's like you have a data of a person and it's labeled that okay, this is his age, this is his height, this is his weight, this is his medical history, everything is labeled. You know what data it is. And what exactly you try to find out? You'll try to find out a function which can relate between the. Okay, let me see. There is a question. Feature engineering comes in the data analysis part. That all the features that you'll feature engineering is basically you try to find out which feature is important, which feature is not, and try to like change the dimensionality of the features to make it more accurate or more like more useful for training. These all feature engineering things become in data analysis. So we'll come back to supervised learning. Now in supervised learning, what happens is you try to find out the answer. Basically, try to find out this function. We have the value of y. you have the value of x. Try, hold on. Sorry. So what you will try to find out is the value of x, value of f, what exact relation it is there. Like you have the value of x as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have the value of y. You have the value of y as 0, 1, 4, 8, 16, like that. Now you can see there is a relation of y is equal to x square. So you want the model to predict that x square, that you're providing the value of x as 1, 2, 3, 4, you're providing the value of y as 0, 1, 4, 9, 16 and all, and you want the model to predict that okay, this is an x square equation. So this is what a supervised learning is. Supervised learning is just exactly like you have a teacher which is supervising a child to learn what exactly they need to learn. And in this particular situation, the child is your model that you're trying to train, and you yourself as a supervisor telling the model which thing they have to train on and which thing they have to ignore. Like you have selected about uh, you do not need to consider the address for the age. Sorry, not for the age. Like for the if the person is sick or not, you do not have to consider that. Or you have to give more emphasis or more importance to the particular feature, which is if the person was sick a week before. So you're telling the model that okay, check this feature or ignore this feature. This is what a supervised learning is. That you provide the raw data, you provide all the inputs, the x value and y value, and then the model gives you the output. Now here, the x value is the input, or it is also known as the input variable, and y is known as the output or the target variable. It means for each and every value of x, you'll have a y, and you'll try to map it. Like for x something, you'll have y something. For x something, you'll have y something, and you'll try to find out the value of f. What is the relation between x and y? What is the relation between the training data and the target value? This is supervised learning. Now, after that, we'll go for unsupervised learning. In unsupervised learning, you do not have a labeled data. The data that you're providing is completely unknown to you, like what exactly they resemble. So in unsupervised learning, you do not get a prediction. You get a classification, or you can just say clustering. Just example. And the only thing is unsupervised learning does is try to find out the similarity between all the data that you have. Like you have given 1 million data of about something which even you have no idea about. 1 million data is there. They'll try to cluster that 1 million data into 3 or 5 clusters which are similar to each other. Just example, we have given 100 photos of flowers. 100 photos of fruits. You have no idea which fruit are there. Either they have grapes or they have oranges. You have no idea how much they have. You don't know what all fruits they have. What is the quantity of the fruits? You have no idea. You just have 100 pictures of different fruits. You just give it to the model. Now what the model will see? The model will see just data. They have no idea what data it is. They have no idea that these are fruits. And if they even they will get to know that these are fruits, they have no idea that, okay, that this is orange or this is apple or this is banana. They have no idea. So what they do is they try to find out the similarities. That okay, one picture of an apple will be similar to another picture of an apple. They both are different apple pictures, but they are quite similar to each other. So they'll try to find that similarities and try to find out the clusters, so that when you give that 100 pictures data, your output will be 3 different clusters. Just imagine in this particular situation, you have given 100 pictures of apple, banana, and mango. After all the training that has been done, the model will give you a 3 cluster, which in which one cluster has all the pictures of apples, all the pictures of bananas, and all And the third cluster will have all the pictures of mangoes. Now, what exactly happened is the model have no idea that these are mangoes, these are apples, or these are bananas. They just find out that these pictures, like out of all the 100 pictures, these 33 pictures look quite similar. Or these 33 pictures look quite similar. These 33 pictures looks quite similar. So the pictures of apple look quite similar to each other. Pictures of banana look quite similar to each other. Pictures of mangoes look quite similar to each other. So they made a cluster of them. Like they made a cluster of all the similar features. This is what is unsupervised learning. So there are like three major algorithms for unsupervised learning, which is k-means clustering, hierarchical clustering, and dbScan. We'll come across one of them. Don't worry. We'll see what it is, how exactly we do for supervised learning also. So this is the supervised learning. Now there's one more kind of thing which comes in like high, like advanced ML kind of problem, which is a reinforcement learning. What happens in reinforcement learning is you have a model, the model is not trained anything, and you have a like you have a result that you want the model to achieve. Now the model will take random steps. It will try to reach to a particular position by taking random steps, and based on the random steps, you're providing the model with a reward, either a positive reward or a negative reward. Now now after the model takes the step, the model will get a result, or the model will get a reward. On the basis of that reward, the model will try to train itself that the model took the right step or the wrong step. Because if the model took a right step, you gave him a positive reward. Now the model will learn that this step that he took was a right step because he got a positive reward. If a model took a step and it got a negative reward, so the model will learn that okay, this step was wrong. I was not supposed to take it. So in the future, it will not take that step again. Taking it to a real-time example, just imagine there's a small baby. He wants to go to the box of candies. So you can imagine the box of candies as the result and the baby as a model. Now the model is not trained on how to go to the box of candies. So what will happen is the, the model will try to reach the box of candies. Now one example, like one situation that can happen is the model, like the baby stood up or like crawled till the box of candies. So the baby is happy that the results that she wants or he or she wants, he got. So this is a positive feedback. This is a positive result. The baby is happy because he or she got the box of candies. Positive result. It means the way or the path that the baby took was right. Now, second situation, that when the baby was going towards the candy, he or she hit the any toy or anything, any obstacle in between the way. So what happened in this is the baby got hurt. He or she starts crying. Now what happens is because the baby got hurt, so this is a negative reward. Now the baby will learn that you're not supposed to take that particular route because if you'll take that particular route, you'll get hurt and eventually you'll cry. So that's a negative result. So doing all these things again and again, a machine learning model trains itself to get a required result. This is what a reinforcement learning is. So reinforcement learning comes in the category of advanced ML. So we'll not talk about anything like how exactly reinforcement learning happens. So yes, this is what all about reinforcement learning. Okay, there's an example of reinforcement learning. So there's a AI which is built by, I guess it's built by Facebook, I guess. Okay, it's built by Facebook, which is known as AlphaGo. So it's a machine learning model that can play checkers. Now, after training itself for like years and years and years, they tried that particular AI model to compete with one of the world's best checkers player, and the AI eventually succeeded in defeating the world champion. So you can find out like, yeah, AI can finally beat human, but it took the machine like years of practice and years of training data of what all steps they took and what all positive and negative reward they saved. So huge amount of data and computation works behind that to make the model learn that much well. So this is what all about machine learning. So if you have any doubt, you can just text and ask. I'm expecting some questions, and if you have no questions, then okay, no doubts. Cool. Anyone else? Everyone is fine. Okay, even Tanisha is fine. Good. Sajal is fine. Good. Even Avinash is fine. Good enough. I know, like today in today's class, you'll not have any doubts. Is the shortest path algo applied in reinforcement learning? Yeah, you can say that the shortest path algo applied in reinforcement learning, but it only depends on if the model is trying to reach to a point. It's an example of reinforcement learning that the model wants to reach to a result. It's not always like the model wants to go to a point. It can happen like you gave a model, there's a complete random model, and you want that model to guess what will happen tomorrow. So at the starting, it will just randomly guess what will happen. Like what will be the you just have the model and you want the model to guess what kind of season it will have tomorrow. What is it gonna rain? Is it gonna be sunny or what? So in the starting, he'll guess some random stuff. Next day, basis on the result, basis on the season, like weather, not the season, the weather, he'll get the positive feedback or negative feedback. Now, then he'll check like what all things that he considered on giving that result. Like he checked today's temperature, today's humidity, or something like that. So on the basis of that, slowly, they'll try to figure out which features or which attributes helps the model to guess what weather we'll have tomorrow, and then their accuracy will started to increase. That's what happened in reinforcement. So if the model wants to go from one point to another, then shortest path algo is fine. But if this is a condition, checking about tomorrow's weather, then I don't, shortest path algo is not a thing. And most of the time, even shortest path algo is not the right answer because you go for the shortest path, but there's a blockage. So you have to go through something. Okay. So any other questions or is it done? Okay. Looks like everyone is fine for now. So I know like today's topic is completely theory and just giving you the overview of what exactly machine learning is from Monday. Today's Friday only, no? No, Friday. So Saturday, Sunday, enjoy the dataset that I've given you. Try to play with it and make the assignment. It's not even an assignment, it's just a task. If you want to get do and do, then do it's good. So Monday, we'll come across the algorithms, like how exactly the algorithm works. The first one that we'll see is a linear regression, which is the most basic one. And but I'm telling you, on Monday's class, just be a bit like sit down properly and ready to listen, like at least a 1 hour lecture because it's gonna be your first machine learning model. So it will gonna take you time to just digest each and everything which is coming. The moment you see one or two machine learning models, learning about other machine learning models will take you like 10 to 15 minutes and you are ready to code any machine learning model. But for the first two or three, it will take you a whole lot of time just to see what all things that is necessary to do in order to make a machine learning model. Okay, then with this, we'll wrap the session. Thank you. Let's stop the sharing.